Long ago, the War of the Magi reduced the world to scorched wasteland, and magic simply ceased to exist. 1,000 years have passed. Iron, gunpowder, and steam engines have been rediscovered, and high technology reigns. Dramatic music. But there are some who would enslave the world by reviving the dread, destructive force known as magic. Music is ear candy. Can it be that those in power are on the verge of repeating a senseless and deadly mistake? The answer is yes. So anyway, hello, I am Darkness Jackson, and welcome to Final Fantasy III. Yes, I'm going to be calling it Final Fantasy III for the majority of these videos. I'll title it properly, but screw y'all, that's what I grew up with this game as being. Vic says there's the town. Hard to believe an Esper has been found intact there 1,000 years after the War of the Magi, says Wedge. Vix is wondering if it's still alive, and Wedge says probably, judging from the urgency of our orders. We notice a girl behind us. Is she cute? And this woman, this sorcerer, why is she here? I heard she fried 50 of our Magitet armor soldiers in under 3 minutes. Burn, baby, burn. Not to worry, says Wedge. The slave crown on her head robs her of all conscious thoughts. She'll follow orders. Now follow my orders, bitch. We'll approach from the east. Move out! So anyway, if you can't tell, I'm Darkness Jackson. This is Final Fantasy III, also known as Final Fantasy VI, depending on when you grew up as a kid. Got a few ground rules for this. So I've played this game 1,000 times, but I'm going to play it anyway again. I want to play it again. I'm going to play it again, so get over it. There's going to be a giant playlist devoted to this. I know the game really well. It has been a few years since I've played it again, but I know it well enough to know where to put good pauses and breaks and things, so I'm going to keep the video shorter, but this is a long series. I'll try to keep the titles of the videos very poignant, on point, and numbered for when there's story going on and not side quests. Now, there are a few times in the story where you can choose to do things and not to do things, and I hope this isn't coming as a spoiler alert to anyone. But in the second half of the game, you can rush through that shit real fast. I will not. But in the second half, I will definitely title it appropriately as being the next world, probably World in Ruins is what I'll call it. And I'll number it when it's actually a part of the storyline, and I'll just let it flow if it's a side quest title or something like that. Now, why am I playing it? Because I love it and I want to play it, and I want you guys to see it if you haven't seen it. This is a groundbreaking game. I think IGN still calls it the #1 RPG made of all time. There's a good reason for that. There's never been an ensemble this big that meant this much. Every single one of the characters that are in this game are memorable, have a backstory, and have a significance to the game in some way, shape, or form. With the exception of 3. There are 3, if I remember correctly, that their backstory is a little bit more shallow, but that's not the point. And by the way, notice how they're trying to emulate 3D here by having a scrolling foreground, and the background is lifting as they walk. They really did go all out in this game trying to figure out how to make it work. But Wedge says, let's put her on point. No sense taking any risks. Forward! And if you see when I go to the menu, oh my god, the unnamed girl. This is the point in time where go back. This is the point in time, though, that I'm going to quickly explain how I'm going to be going through this series so there's no confusion. So, as a quick breakdown, it shouldn't take more than 2 minutes. I'm going to be going through the series. I'm going to play through it. I want to play through the whole game. I want to get the whole experience. I'm going to be keeping commentary to a minimum when I can, because this game actually still affects me. It makes me feel feels. You know what I'm talking about, bro? It makes me feel feels. By the way, Wedge and Vix are two characters that have been in almost every single Final Fantasy game to date. Sid is another one of those characters. So, Final Fantasy 3, the reason why we grew up in my generation as it being 3 is when it came out, 93, that this game was the third one released in North America, and it was groundbreaking in its own right. Now, number 1 was the first one released in Japan, but we skipped over 2 and 3. 2 and 3 were NES games that kind of, I guess, didn't quite. If you go and play them yourself, you see that there's development in how the game works and how they did the story and everything like that, and there's background to the characters and whatnot. But I don't think Squaresoft back then found it a big deal to port them to the North American audience, which was a good move on their part, because when they released Final Fantasy 2 in America, which was Final Fantasy 4 in Japan, it had significant impact. It was on a new system. It was on Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, whatever, depending on where you come from. And it had depth. It had world exploration. It had characters that like you were clinging to. There are parts of Final Fantasy 2/4 that like it still make me hurt. There's one scene in particular with the 2 kids that like you can use items on them to try to get them back and things like that. Like you're thinking, okay, these kids are kind of deadish in a way, but you can get them back, and you can't. And there's kind of sidetracking and really there is a lot of character development, and Final Fantasy 3 was like the pinnacle of character development. They have an entourage in here of no less than 20-ish playable characters, 16 to 20. And every single one of them has an in-depth, good, solid backstory, with the exception of, I think, 3, where they're kind of so optional characters that they don't get like that really, that gravitas is just not there. But the way I'm going to be playing it is I'm going to be going through it and doing all of it. And I'll just let you know in the game title if it's one of the videos that maybe you don't want to look for. And maybe the game titles will help people to search on YouTube to be like, if they want to find a particular character, I'll talk about how you get them as I'm getting them, just in case you have to do something else before you actually get to the point that I am in the video. Alright, with all that said, how I'm playing the game, I want to hear nothing from anyone, because you know what? I have bought this game 3 times over. I have the original Final Fantasy 3, and I say bought, and I know my brother immediately would watch this and go, bitch. That was actually his birthday present when we were in elementary school for his Super Nintendo. So, we own Final Fantasy 3, the cartridge. I bought the anthology that gave me Final Fantasy 3 again, and I bought the Game Boy Advance port that gave me Final Fantasy 3 again. So I am playing the original. Why am I doing that? The port to PlayStation was a load of crap. You got 2 additional movies, CGI, that really, by today's standards, aren't even good enough for me to bother finding them. If you want to find them, go look on YouTube somewhere else. They didn't really it was really a straight up port, and for the first time ever, since it was on a disc instead of a cartridge, there were loading screens. So all of us that were used to, we thought we were just going to get our game on our, the old game that we loved on a new system and all that jazz, and we didn't, and we were pissed. I still own it, but I was pissed. And then they ported it over to Game Boy Advance. Why am I not playing on Game Boy Advance? Well, the resolution is lower. I like the sound better out of the original Super Nintendo version. And I know there's like 4 extra summons that you can get, ESPERS, in this game. Fuck it. The original ones are good enough. I'm going to try to keep my language a little bit more sane, because this is such a good game. I don't want people to be turned off by my mouth of a sailor. So anyway, to anyone who's complaining on how are you playing it, you know what, just shove it. This game has been paid for in my stead or by me 3 times over. I'm pretty much sure I deserve to play it however I want to. One last thing, I'm going to skip through battles. If it's a big battle or if it's the first time getting into battles like the ones we're about to get into that show how gameplay works, I'm going to keep it normal. But I have these 2 little guys on the back of my controller set to be able to put it into fast forward mode so that you guys don't have to sit through every single one. And I'm not going to make you guys sit and watch me grind out levels if I decide to grind out some levels and whatnot. But anyway, now we're getting into the game. Imperial Magitech armor. Not even Narsh is safe anymore. By the way, she has a lot more of these things to go on. Like, she can do a lot more than the other 2 dipshits. And she has some magic. Oh, it's magic. So kind of open up into this industrial world with the second, what is it called? Steam Revolution or second Industrial Revolution. That's kind of, someone correct me on that. That's the kind of technology we're dealing with, except for that the technology in magic is coming back. That magic was something that was a scourge upon the earth. Yeah, tech missile. I'm gonna fire it in your face. And is being rediscovered, and they're in Magitech armor that that apparently lets you use rockets. But this is a game that's definitely set in a perfect setting of. It's not just saying, you know, giving them kudos on making a good game. It's one of those, and this is a time down guy. I want to hit fast forward here. Here we go. Yeah. Yay! Okay, we got through it. So, major kudos. It's not that I'm just giving major kudos because I can. They really this game doesn't really work out as well in a lot of other settings. This game would not have worked out in a setting where there's more technology than there is, and there's some characters that depend on the fact that their technology is better than everyone else's around them. Question mark girl gained a level. So you'll see me fast forwarding it quite a few times, and it's actually me hitting a button on my controller to say to make the game go faster. But the storyline, I'm playing it for the story and the character development. Oh my dad. If you do not know about the story and the character development of this game, I am sorry about whatever childhood you had, or if you were too young, get over the graphics seeming older. I know we've got things like RPG Maker, where anyone in the who has a good idea and has the time on their hands and really wants to delve into it can make their own RPG. This is how it's done right. There are plenty of people, independent indie, that are actually also doing it right. But this is like full scale. This is not just an RPG Maker game. So don't dog the graphics, because there's a team behind this game that made sure that this game was written correctly. And good God, this is a good game. According to our sources, the frozen Esper was found in the new mine shaft. Maybe this one, since it's the only one I can get to. No, this is definitely a game that. And I think I tried out how I'm going to be doing this already once. And when I tried it out, I saved it, I think. I got wrenched. Anyway. I think I saved it. So I think you're about to see that I already just saved it once. But, hey, save point. Do you need a tutorial on how these things work? Nope. Sure don't. Just go into there, and yep. Pretty much the exact place and thing I did. Oh, I did it in 2 minutes less this time, though. And the controller I'm using is a bit wonky, so I apologize for that. I've worn out the arrow keys over time. Worn out a lot of the keys, but anyway. commentary is going to just be hard for this game because there's a lot of game to comment on. There's a lot going on. And it's a nice rainy night where I am right now. It's cold, and by the way, if you notice, I'm wearing flannel. And is it a flannel just shirt? Yeah, it's a flannel long shirt. Like when you used to see cartoons with the old man is trying to figure out who's in the house because he heard a noise and he comes down with a candlestick. We won't hand over the Esper. Welk! Get them. Welk, okay then. Tutorial on how you fight some monsters. Think back to our briefing, Vix. Or Wedge. What about it? I wave my arms frantically. Do you recall hearing about a monster that eats lightning and shits fireballs and stores the energy in its shell? Right, so whatever you do, don't attack the shell. Alright, already! Yeah, I played it enough times I knew that line was coming. Yeah, don't hate. And I honestly do like how they kind of get you into the turn-based combat. And I'm almost positive I can only hit this guy for so much damage before he goes... crap. Fudge your knuckles. Don't hit... Question mark girl not yet named. Don't hit her, don't hit her, don't hit her. Yay. Kill Wedge, because no one cares about him. Can I heal him back to life? I've never actually tried that before. All the times I've played it, I've never had a character die because I've never been dumb. Oh, no items either, but it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. And the soundtrack, by the way, is epic. And by the way, there's one little soundbite in this game that is so renowned that when we come to it, I'm just gonna have to point it out and harp on it because it's been used in a lot of different games in a lot of different ways, and is known as one of the most recognizable soundbites because we're talking about a 16-bit era where games are very much on a 2D background where 3D was emulated in very complicated ways, and the set backgrounds like that are right here that try to create depth to the scene. You know, those were like pieces of work that took hard thinking and thinking brains harding. Yeah, die well. And so you have to remember that all the music also was limited to that same scope. And the interesting thing about it is that even limited, there are certain things that are just unforgettable by many people about how this game, some of the sound bites. And one of them is the laugh, a certain person's laugh. And I used to have it as like a text tone. But anyway, storyline. Is this the frozen Esper? I always pronounce it Esper. I don't know how other people do. Don't ask me to pronounce all the Esper names. Hey, what's the matter other than being back alive? Do you know something we don't? Bling bling. I made a diamonds, bitch. Oh, I'm totally trying to be better with my language so everyone can watch. Bye, Wedge. Bye, Vix. Vapor Rub. Something that's just not done well enough. A storyline that is explained very concisely at the beginning with a few Easter eggs of being able to see glimpses of people who will matter very soon here. Girl, where am I? Whoa! And I only just removed the crown. Head hurts. I'm on my knees. Let me go show you the crown because just in case you don't believe me. Easy, this is a slave crown. The others had complete control over you while you were wearing it. I can't remember a thing. Old man says don't worry, they'll all come back to you. In time, that is. But I'll shake my head anyway. No. A mysterious young woman controlled by the Empire and born with the gift of magic. I will change 0 names, so go screw yourself if you think I'm gonna change the name. And by the way, if you don't like I was talking about the long shirt, if you don't like the idea of someone wearing one of the like long old man shirts, then you can go screw yourself about that one too, because I've had this since middle school, I think. And it's one of the most comfortable things to me. My name is Terra. Terra firma. Impressive! I've never heard of anyone recovering this fast. I've never heard of anyone being in the situation she's in right now. She seems to be the first one to torch 50 guys and have magic. But anyway. Open up! Give us back the girl and the Empire's Magitek armor! Oh, balls! Open this door, we want the girl. She's an officer of the Empire. Balls, 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 balls. Empire, Magitek armor. I know shit you don't. Look, get out of here. Follow me very slowly this way because you can't run yet. One last chat. Make your way through the mines. I'll keep these brutes occupied. And by keep them occupied, I mean you're gonna see them in like 2 seconds because they're gonna see you. Like right now. She's up there! So anyway, I think I've pretty much just told the audience, hey, go screw yourself in a few different ways if you don't like the way I'm doing things, but whatever. The just immensely concise way that they were able to make this storyline just open up. And by the way, I still love how the characters are animated even out to the day. I have a filter over this video to make the edges more pleasing and everything and make it look a little less like it's extremely original Super Nintendo counterpart, where the pixels were a bit more hardened, no round edges, and stuff like that. Round edges were just hard to come by and hard work because you were still dealing with giant squares that you had to round off by just making more squares and more squares and more squares. But what a way to open up a storyline by having Phoenix down. That's how you heal yourself. Raise yourself back from the dead. To have a storyline that, and I'm fast forwarding through all of the girls up here, like immediately, like no question. A way to be able to open up and like give you a background on what's going on, how the world is in the way it's in, because it immediately tells you that the War of the Magi and everything happened and blah blah blah, and that we're back in an industrial revolution where we've rediscovered a few things, and in that industrial revolution, skills, magic, cure myself, and giving you an Easter egg of characters to come up and everything like that if you're paying enough attention. And then to set her as... It's hard to call Terra the main character because there's so many other complementing characters. But she comes out on top as the main-ish character. It was just something that you never expected. Balls, 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 fall. I did not even try to land on my feet. I fell on my side. I tried to walk, and I don't think I can do it. Collapsible. But this game, you know, me talking over it maybe didn't have the same effect, but Kefka, my sweet little magic user, with the slave crown, I'll practically own you. Please do your laugh, because that wee-hee-hee does not do it justice. Kefka's laugh is the soundbite that you have to hear. And this is her doing things out of her own control. And by the way, just the antagonist of this is, I mean, he's encouraging her to burn his own soldiers. Kefka is different from a lot of antagonists that you found in a lot of other games because he is just simply crazy and has power. There are antagonists in this game that have power and abuse it and misuse it, but General Gestalt, we stand on the brink of a major breakthrough. In the days to come, we'll witness the total revival of magic. It is our destiny, and ours alone, to take this mystic force and claim what is rightfully ours. Raise your hands. With our newfound power, nothing can stand in our way. Kefka, Leo, Celeste. Long live Emperor Gestalt. Oh, did I call him General? Emperor Gestalt. I'm never gonna get through this thought, am I? Just to bring on all that story so fast. I mean, I'm on the clock already. I think at 27 minutes, counting me getting into the game and all that jazz. I'm gonna end it after this scene that will come up, but you took long enough. How's the robbing and plundering trade? What? Treasure hunter and trail-worn traveler, searching the world over for relics of the past. You hear that? Music specific to him? Like, when you hear that later in the game, you think of him. Like, there are heroic moments in this game that are cued specifically by music. And Locke's music is probably some of the best known. And yeah, I'm not changing that name. I prefer the term treasure hunting. Ha! Semantic nonsense. There's a huge difference. Huge finger wiggle. You see that? Oh. Who even one you sent me for? Yeah, there's a girl I'd like you to meet, but she's flubbernucked. This better not have anything to do with that Magitech writing Imperial witch. See, they even had to censor themselves. Yes, it does. Imperial troops are pursuing her even as we speak. This town is no match for the Empire. Our independence can only be assured if we join forces with the Returners, an underground resistance movement. That girl wasn't responsible for her actions. We must get her to understand our dilemma. Alright. I think we'd better help her. And by we, I mean me. You stay in this house. Agreed. Make your way first to Figaro, and talk to the king. But before we do that, Locke has to come along and be a badass. Yep, she fell on her side and couldn't handle it. He's just like, bitches, I can jump. God, I want to censor my mouth so bad, but anyway. Now we gotcha. More wolves. Send in the wolves. Wonderful, there's a whole bunch of them. But I have backup. Oh, Moggs, I love you. Moogles. Are you saying you want to help me? Yeah. Koopa. Use us to save Terra from the guards. Need more information? No, I don't, because I know how this works. Who do I always forget who I always had in my little squad here. Locke is okay, and the one that has Mog the Moogle is fine. Then we start him over here. Then we switch over to this guy. Yeah, Mog is fine, because he's also a badass. So Mog can take the center. I love those little guys. There's the other party that is just not cutting their weight. Master a new dance if you notice. Mog is a character that becomes playable very quickly. Actually, I don't remember this very quickly, but he does become playable. Moth and Le Lobo. Fight. I wish I had, what is it called? Not Steel. Anyone? God, my brain is so not braining right now. I am so not braining. Where he can steal and fight at the same time. There's a glove for that. I think it's a Thieves' Glove. Comes later. Can you tell that I've played this game before? I need to stop saying things because for some people this might actually be the first time that they've seen this. I have to remember that not everybody grew up in the 90s. And, I mean, that was just... Alright, you do your thing over here where... Oh, you're so screwed. Let's see if I can get through this first one without a big deal. These guys are just lower level and weaker, and without one of the main characters, they kind of get tossed around a little bit if you let them. Like, that does some damage. And by the way, I'm not fast forwarding through this because this is an actual supposed to be epic sequence of like fights, like how you get up to being able to save her. Otherwise, I would have skipped through it by now. The Moogles are one of my favorite inventions ever to come out of Final Fantasy. See, Blizzard hits them again. They've got one more time with Blizzard, and they don't have a way to heal themselves. So this group is like very expendable. You have to go back to the other ones, which shouldn't be a big deal because Locke's right there. And I'm actually gonna have him steal. No, I said steal. Oh, come on, Locke. Busting my balls over here, Locke. Yeah, I should probably have Locke heal up. Yay, potion! That's what I was wanting him to steal anyway, so whatever. Because he needs it. There are two groups that can take down the main one easy. I needed to get a new controller for being able to do this. My Xbox One is acting up a bit. Every single time it becomes disconnected, it disconnects from the game, but this is my old one. Are we good enough? Yeah, you guys can't do magic at all. Yeah, Locke can take it. I remember always doing this part with Mog's group, but Locke can take it. And that's why I probably remember that. These guys are pusscakes. And he will, in a heartbeat, call back up. Just a little bit more damage. Just take it like a man. Or a Mog. Take it like a Mog. Hit Locke. Thank you. I want to steal. Part of me really, really badly wants to steal. To get more stuff off. But... Die! Son of a bitch. Die. There we go. Yeah. That little encounter is just about impossible with that third group that's not as strong at all. Storyline. I love how their expressions still come through on... I'm in love with this game. Thanks, Moogles. We're in your depth. Take the girl and run! Run, bitches! Run! Run, bitch, get some home. Don't lie her back down on the ground yet. Hey, hit the switch. I think this switch will make a cave open. Because everyone saw that coming. Hey, you're waking up? You saved me? Save your thanks for the Moogles. I can't remember anything past or present. You have amnesia? Did you just see that little expression? I love how they still express everything in these games. Man said my memory would come back. Give it time. You're safe with me. I give you my word. Terra is confused. I won't leave you until your memory returns. By the way, the secret interest might be useful someday. Don't forget about it. Wink, wink, nod, nod, nudge, nudge. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? You know what I mean, pal? And then don't go back into the city. They don't want you in there. Like, I could start walking in there, and then he'll be like, okay. Who might you be? Head around the corner. We better hightail it to southward to Figaro. So, that is the introduction of some major characters really fast in a really awesome way. 34 minutes. Yeah, that's not bad. So, I actually have had it for tonight. If you can't tell, my immediate reaction was to like lean back and like relax. It's an amazing game. I encourage you guys to watch it, stick with it. If you don't like my commentary on it, tell me in the comments below. If you do like it, tell me in the comments below. If you know that I exist, tell me in the comments below. But for right now, you know what? I'm still just doing it for myself. Maybe I want to be able to do this more and have it, you know, worth my time. Not saying that I want to be like my time is actually worth something. Every hour I'm spending in my office doing something is work. It's not work to play a game like this. This is my relief time. There's a reason why I started a YouTube channel, to actually have something that kind of holds me accountable for that. With that said, every minute I'm taking away and doing this, I still have to account for it some way, because those are minutes not spent editing photos, calling back brides, spending all night doing other things that I'd rather not do to deal with my photography business. I still am doing them. I still will do them, and I still have to do them. But it would be really nice one day for me to be able to be compensated for doing this if I can keep this up and people actually like it or whatnot. But that's for future. This is talking about right now. I'm going to play this game all the way through, and God, just, you get introduced to a slew of characters. All of them have unique backgrounds. All of them are unique in their own rights. You would definitely never take some of the characters to some of these parts of the story, while the other ones, when you have a choice on who to take, you've got your go-tos, you've got your favorites immediately. I know immediately off the top of my head that one of my go-tos was Terra until a certain point in this game, and Locke was one of my go-tos for the whole game the last few times I played it. But anyway, this is Final Fantasy 3/6. Yeah, and to finish up that last thought, yeah, it started off as America liked the storyline and wanted to port. Squaresoft thought it was worthy of porting Final Fantasy 4, but we called it Final Fantasy 2. And you can see why. It's a new system, new graphics, and not only new graphics, it's not kind of like the finagling with how things should work like they did with the Japanese Final Fantasy 2 and 3, where they were kind of trying to figure out on the regular Nintendo system how this new system was going to work, how they're going to do character development, how they do world exploration, how they do a lot of things. And the US skipped out on purpose with translating that game and bringing it on over here. And we skipped on to number 4. Number 4 is another amazing game in its own right, and it got all the pieces right. It got world exploration, it got character, it got backstory, it got you involved, emotionally invested, all these other things. And they did the right move when they did that move back then, and called it our Final Fantasy II. Alright, then happened another game where again they kind of were tweaking with the formula to see what worked. Over there's Final Fantasy V, and it wasn't released here. So then finally comes Final Fantasy VI, the game to end all games when it comes to character development, storyline, and choices of a sandbox. As much sandbox as you can get in a game like this, where you have things you can do but you don't have to do. You get to choose what to do and where to go. Half of the game it feels like you're just being throttled through a tunnel of like one part of the story to the next, and then as soon as it gives you the chance, it's like a whole new world, and you just get to do whatever you want to. And so they called it Final Fantasy III. I think Squaresoft back in the day did the exact right thing. They did exactly what the company needed. But later on, when people figured out that they wanted more of this, when they, when Americans figured out that what we called 3 was their 6, and we figured out that we missed out on 3, we wanted more of it. So finally they were translated, and then a lot of people said, oh, we could have done without. Not dogging the games at all, but they brought the best of the best. So by the time Final Fantasy VII came out, the numbering system was correct. We were on the same page. And by 7, we didn't have to worry about, Japan putting out a game that wasn't going to be released over here, because the system, the Final Fantasy 3/6, and it's going to be Final Fantasy 3 in my heart for forever. Final Fantasy 3 nailed it. Just completely nailed character development, how to introduce them, how to introduce the storyline, how to do it all on a 2D canvas. And so when Final Fantasy VII came out, they kind of knew how to design a good game, and then got the extra benefit of having more depth, as in visually more depth. So there were more things that they could do with it. And it just kind of built from there. So you had a lot of games that were built one after the other on the pieces that had been set by this game. And a lot of other games have to come back to this game to get their roots. Their roots of really how the game was made, designed, thought about. Wherever they got their ideas from, probably somehow came from this game. So anyway, that is my intro into Final Fantasy 3/6. I will probably call it Final Fantasy 3 and title it Final Fantasy 3/6 in the titles. It's Final Fantasy 3, whatever. Get over it. I am playing the version that the title screen says Final Fantasy 3. So I'm playing the version that I remember playing when I was a kid. And actually, again, as I've said before, I was one of the original viewers of a Let's Play, but never on YouTube. It was my older brother. My older brother played this first. I watched every second of it. I was pissed every single time that I found out he had played more of this game and I wasn't there to watch it. So it's kind of weird for me to do a Let's Play of anything. But anyway, that's the intro to it. That's how I'm going to go about it. Questions, comments, concerns, put them in the bottom. Let me know if you think this is a good idea. I'm going to do it anyway. You can let me know if it's a good idea. I'm going to do it anyway. I think I've blathered on for long enough. So you've got my permission to get uncomfortable, because I'm about to do the same. It's late. This is time for me to go. It's Darkness Jackson signing off. Good night. Ear candy. The soundtrack. Did I mention the soundtrack? Oh. Soundtrack. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Simple.